we've all had a good chit chat about Mike's snowblower problems and the amount of snow that and his toes. So we'll just start going with introductions pretty soon here. This meeting is going to be recorded. I would like to make aware that this session for registrants will be good for 3 self-directed CE hours, which is an motivation to perhaps stick around and listen a little bit longer. In the interests of time, I am going to introduce the staff and the participants of the meeting today, and I'm going to do it a little different. I'm going to start off with the staff, I think, first of all. First off, we have Shelby Sargo, who is the Coordinator of Professional Practice. We have Carolyn Robertson, who is the Manager of Communications and Executive Office. We have Fizis Assad, who is the Accounting and Human Resources Specialist. We have our Deputy Registrar, Acting Deputy Registrar, Amy Stein, and the irreparable Fazal Khan, our Registrar and CEO. Now, Fazal, I just noticed that there's a couple other staff participants that I don't have on my list. Should I go through that and introduce them also, or are they going to be?
Yeah, I think I know.
I see Deirdre Brooks on the chat column.
Perfect.
And I'm sorry, she's the
Manager of Patient Relations and Governance.
Thank you. I apologize in advance if I've missed any of the staff. Oh, Anna Germanium.
Yep.
Anna is the Director of
Registration.
Registration. Very good. I think that's it. If I look through there, I don't see anybody else there. Thank you, staff, for doing a wonderful job in attending. We have Sarah Butson, who is our facilitator today. Thank you, Sarah, for joining us. You're keeping us all in check and doing a great job. We have one appointed member with us today, Jay Batt, who is an appointed member. Jay is going to be doing a presentation later on
the Indigenous land acknowledgements.
That's Indigenous land acknowledgement, which is very, very interesting to listen to. So thank you for that, Jay. Now we'll start with the board members, and I'm going to start from the bottom. And Henry, I'm going to try to do this right. Henry Wierzima. How's that, Henry? Is that good? I think it is. Mike Smart, who is a elected member. By the way, Henry is a public member. Doreen Reese, who is also an elected member. Neda Mohammad Zadeh, who is an elected member. Okay, I got the thumbs up from Neda. That was good. Samira Modira, is he with us? I didn't see
Samir. No, I see his name on there.
Just brought him in, yeah.
Okay. Good morning, Samir.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning, Samir.
We have Elsa Lee, who is our newly elected RO member. Good morning, Elsa. Ingrid Konade, who is a veteran like myself from Ottawa. Good morning, Ingrid. Peggy Judge, I just see your face popped up there. Thank you very much. You don't have that big glow in the back this time as far as the lighting goes. So,
Lighting probably.
Omar Farouk, who is the public member. Omar, good morning. Diana Bristow, who is also a public member. Good morning to you too. And Stephen Kinsella, who is the vice chair of this board and is a public member. Good morning, Stephen. And myself, Brian Todd, chair, elected member from good old Sudbury. Amber, I had to put that plug in for us. Okay, so I think we can hand this over. I will hand this over to Sarah now, Sarah, and you can start the ball rolling.
That's great. Thanks, Brian. So we just went over some of the logistics, but I'll just quickly reiterate again. For the consensus, we use the fist of 5, looking for 4s or 5s, meaning that you feel comfortable moving forward. Anything below that means that we should discuss further before moving to a motion. For motions, Brian will read the motion and we'll look for people to first, second, and then reach consensus on those. So again, in those situations, just please state your name and raise your hand physically. All other types of participation for feedback, we would invite you to raise your virtual hand so that we can keep track of the speaking notes. For motions, I just want to remind folks of our key questions to consider when making board decisions. So just a reminder that as you're coming to the conversation and come into motions, we want to think about how does this decision or policy serve the public interest? Are there any potential unintended consequences to this decision or policy? Do any potential risks to the organization arise from this decision or policy? And do you have any professional interest in the outcome of this decision or policy? So just a reminder about those questions. And then the last piece is we will be using various different participation tools. Again, I want to just give everyone, a pat on the back. There's been great participation over the last couple of meetings with everyone really getting a chance to speak and participate. So encourage you to head into this meeting in the same way. With that said, I'm going to now hand it back to Brian.
Thank you, Sarah. I was on mute again as usual. We're going to go to 1.2, which is the conflict of interest declaration. So at this particular time, I'm going to ask if anybody has any conflict of interest to declare. Seeing none, so I'm going to move to 1.3, which is the adoption of the agenda. And at this point, I'd like to ask if there are any amendments to the agenda that anybody would like to have, if they could tell us now. I don't see any hands up. All right, we're going to start with our first motion then. I would like to ask someone to make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Steve.
Steve, and I saw Samir's hand up, second. All in favor? Hands up. Unanimous, passed. Thank you very, very much. I guess we're going to go then to 2.0, the minutes of December 7th and 8th, 2020. We'll wait till we get this on screen here. Thank you, Carolyn. At this point, I'd like to ask, does anyone have any amendments to the minutes? Mike?
Ryan, I just wanted to check on the, I was reading on the, I'm trying to think of the word when we go into the camera minutes.
Mm-hmm.
On one of the motions, we had a unanimous at 12 and the other at 13. So I just wondered.
Sorry, can I just jump in for 1 second? Mike, for in-camera minutes, we're going to have a discussion later in camera to discuss those minutes if it is. So
okay,
just the public minutes right now.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect.
Sorry, Brian.
It's okay. Any other comments or questions on the approval of the minutes? I'm seeing none, so I'm going to ask for a motion to approve those minutes that circulated then, please.
Henry.
Murray, second.
Thank you, Murray. All in favor, hands up. Unanimous. Thank you very, very much. Okay, Sarah, I'm going to hand it back to you. I believe you're going to introduce Fiza.
I am. So we're going to have Fiza Assad, the Accounting and Human Resources Specialist, who will give an update now on the financials. Go ahead, Fiza.
All right, thank you so much, Sarah, and good morning, everyone. Just bear with me for a second as I get my screen ready for you. Is everyone able to see this okay, or would you like me to zoom in a bit more?
Is everybody okay with that? I think it's pretty good.
All right, perfect. All right, so we're going to be going over the variance report for our 2020 end of year numbers. Just a point to note that our actuals for December 31st, 2020 are unaudited. So we'll start, and again, we had some questions about this last time. So we're going to be focusing a lot more on columns F and G, which show the amount of the variance to the budget and more importantly, the percentage. So first things first, with our line number 2, our total revenue, you'll see that we are 2% under budget for our 2020 operations, with a total variance of $52,063. The breakdown of our revenue is as follows, with optician revenue coming in at 2% over budget, just under $60,000. Our student and intern revenue being under budget by 32%. Our national examination fees were under budget by 53%. And that is primarily due to the fact that because of COVID, our exams were deferred. We did have some revenue coming in close to the end of Q4 for our national examination fees, which brought us a bit closer to our budget numbers. The college did fairly well with our interest and investment income, and we were actually 30% over budget there. And as for miscellaneous revenue, we were 74% under budget. And again, that is due to a decrease in some activity, particularly around deficient portfolio fees and accreditation activity. Are there any questions about the revenue before I move on to expenses?
Seeing none, I think you can go ahead, Fiza.
All right, perfect. And we can always come back to this after if anyone thinks of anything. So for board and committee expenses, so you'll see again that we were 42% under budget, which is closer to 92,000. We came a lot closer in Q4 than we did throughout the year, and that is primarily due to a push for expense submissions in December. And I'm very happy to say that we got almost 80% of our outstanding expenses in before the deadline, which is great. Primarily, you'll see that the variances here are due to the fact that our meetings from March 17th were held virtually, and that has allowed us to cut costs. There, you'll see that discipline in line 10 is still 92% under budget, and that is because we had a few hearings deferred to Q1 of 2021. For 2021, we have budgeted for in-person and virtual meetings. Again, that is going to depend heavily on the COVID situation for 2021, but it has been taken into consideration as you'll see in the notes that we had budgeted in 2020 for more in-person meetings and had to adapt accordingly. Are there any questions for board and committee expenses before I move on to operations and admin?
Any questions? Seeing none, Fiza, go ahead.
All right, perfect, thank you. All right, and finally, operations and administration. So for operations and administration expenses, you'll see that we actually came very close to our budget, just 10% under budget. I think that is a bit of a testament to the fact that the college was able to maintain stable operations despite the impact of COVID-19. For communications, we were under budget by 36%. For consulting costs, we were under budget by 63%. And while we were able to continue with a few of our projects, we had fewer in-person meetings and fewer in-person consultants, which allowed us to come under budget there. For council staff and staff education and development, we were actually 5% over budget. These initiatives include one of our biggest projects for 2021, which is our DEI initiatives. For database, we were 36% under budget. For external personnel, we were 48% under budget, and that is due to the fact that we just had fewer examiners and models, again, due to a decrease in the exams and deference of exams. For external relations, we were 37% under budget, and that is because of a decrease in external events impacted by COVID. General operational expenses, we actually came very close to our budget, just 4% under budget there. And as I said earlier, it is due to the fact that the college was able to adapt and continue with stable operations. IT requirements, line 29, you will see there's a bit of a variance here where we are actually 25% over budget. And this includes the cost to support the college's computer systems and databases, including our cloud server, which was a very necessary cost to ensure that the college's staff could work remotely and stay safe during COVID. Which is that we were 121% over budget for investigations. Now, for those of you who are involved with the investigations process, you know that this is a very dynamic and reactionary process. And a lot of these costs, it is difficult to predict these costs as they come in. We had quite a few investigations from 2019 carry over into 2020, again, due to the fact that they were very complex. We also had some matters in 2020 that required additional files to be opened and taken to panel. We do have a few investigations that are currently ongoing from 2020, which are going to be resolved Q1 of 2021. So we see this trickling over into our quarterly budgets, but it is something that we are planning for, and we have adjusted the budget for 2021 accordingly. For legal costs, we are 8% over budget. And again, that is due to legal counsel for discipline hearings. Our QA program, we were 55% under budget. Rent and salary, again, very stable costs. So we were able to get very close with just a couple of $100 variance on rent and 2% under budget for salaries. And finally, for strategic initiatives, we were 24% under budget, and that is primarily due to the decrease in meetings regarding strategic initiatives. And are there any questions regarding operations or admin expenses?
Any questions at all with the report as so far?
This is Murray. I do have one question.
Go ahead, Murray.
On the consultant's fees. Given that most of the consultant costs are their time, did we have fewer needs for consultants, or what was the overall reason?
I could speak to that a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So there were there was one project in particular that we weren't able to get off the ground. It was more to do with, I think, working with another regulatory body. So we didn't engage that consultant. And then there's a lot of IT stuff that's happening in-house. We do have a project manager, so we are trying to bring a lot more in-house. We also budget things such as HR consulting and things like that if there's any changeover.